Hi there, I'm Scott Lowe with ActualTech Media, and thank you for joining us for this Spotlight Series video. Today, I'm joined by two individuals from Buurst. That's with two U's. Make sure, in case you want to go take a look at them. I have Stephen Spector, who is the Vice President for Marketing for Buurst, and Marc Palombo, sorry about that, Marc, who is the Chief Revenue Officer. Marc, sorry about that. But thank you both for being here today.
Pleasure to be here.
So we're going to talk about what Buurst does. Can you kind of give us the 30,000 foot sort of elevator pitch as to what, when you tell people, here's what we do, what do you do?
Sure. Steve, you want me to take a stab at it?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Yes. So Buurst is a cloud software company that specializes in both cloud network attached storage, so cloud native storage in both Azure, Microsoft Azure, and Amazon Web Services. And we also have a new product called Fuusion, which enables you to fuse data from any target source to a target location, which is edge to cloud or cloud to edge or hybrid cloud. We don't really care. But we think of it as an edge data pipeline that enables you to do data transfer management from multiple locations.
There's, obviously, when you start thinking about our increasingly edge-centric world, it sounds like both of your products, SoftNAS and the data pipeline product, have some interesting applications today. What are the specific use cases that you're trying to solve with each one?
Sure. So with SoftNAS, it's very simple. It's companies that require no more than 5 minutes of unscheduled downtime per year. That's what we call 5 nines availability in the business. And so these are companies that have revenue generating SaaS applications, software as a service applications, or maybe they have an ERP application like SAP that absolutely can't go down because it runs their business, or they're running their entire desktop infrastructure using VMware technology. So in this new, post-pandemic world where we'll work from anywhere, you want to be sure the entire desktop experience is deployed satisfactorily. And so that's critical. And so these companies will choose SoftNAS to run their application data on Azure AWS because they know we've got the best performance, the best availability, and we're also the least costly in terms of our competition that's out there. In fact, what's exciting about our pricing structure is for SoftNAS, we charge by performance, not by capacity. So we don't care how much data you have. A lot of our competitors will double bill you for how much data. So if you have 10 or 20 or 50 terabytes of data, you'll get charged by the Microsoft or AWS for the underlying compute for that capacity, and then our competitors will charge you again for that same storage, which we think is absolutely crazy. So we just charge you for the performance of that instance. And then the other use case for Fuusion, which we think, SoftNAS has been around. We were one of the first vendors on both the Azure and the AWS marketplaces for 4 or 5 years. Been around, tried and true solution for 8-9 years. Fuusion is a relatively new product. We launched it in December of last year, but we think the edge to cloud market is just phenomenal. We were recently selected by AWS as a smart data migration provider for their public sector team. And we're seeing some really big opportunities working with AWS there. We're also working with Hitachi. If you look at our website and our events page, we actually did a data transfer management webinar with Hitachi, which talks about the use case of Fuusion, how you can move data from, again, point A to point B, or move it into cloud native services back in the cloud. So some of the use case for Fuusion are, I've got all this data at the edge. We know that about 52% of content is being created at the edge versus in the cloud. And we know that people aren't going to just, hey, I'm going to shut off my data center tomorrow and I'm done, right? That just doesn't happen. So how do I make that journey of constantly moving the data and syncing the data back and forth? You need to have a data pipeline tool like Fuusion to help you manage that data, effectively transferring it over time and doing it gradually versus going cold turkey, because that's just not reality. And so a lot of our competitors will say, oh, we've got this tool to migrate your data in, but a lot of customers are saying, but hey, what about my mission critical data that's still back in my data center I'm spending millions of dollars on? I can't just shut that off, right? So we think Fuusion gives you this kind of nice hybrid solution to do both, maintain your mission critical apps, whether in the data center or in the cloud or private co-location facility, we don't care. We help you with that cloud journey.
Stephen, well, let's talk about the technical piece behind Fuusion here for just a second. I mean, how does it actually work? What's special about it compared to just run-of-the-mill transfer protocols?
So I won't go super technical, but I will give you the product Fuusion itself is based on an open source platform called Apache NiFi. We are big believers in open source technology here. Why not leverage a broad community of experts working together to build a better solution and take advantage of it? And so what we look to do is how can we add value to that solution? And Apache NiFi gives us really that basic solution. One of the features within Fusion that I find really valuable is the data monitoring. So when you move the data from the edge or you move the data to the cloud, we actually are checking where that data moved. We are tracking where that data is moved. Security is a big key, right? We all know there's data everywhere. How do I keep it secure? So we actually, and there's a specific word for it, which is escaping my mind right now, but we are doing data integrity checks. So when you move it from the edge through the routers or wherever to your final destination, we will report, you will know exactly where that data was at every moment in time. Another big feature that we like about Fusion that people don't think about is everyone thinks about how do I move it from the edge to the cloud? Not a lot of people think about, well, what if I want to take data from the cloud and move it back to the edge? This is actually a really interesting feature that we provide. We've talked to customers and prospects. An example we always use is people in ships. If you have a ship at sea and you have data, for example, we have a lot of oil and gas customers, the energy sector, and they have data and they're moving that data out from the ships or out from those oil centers back into the clouds. But there's some data that's important. Let's say I want to upgrade the software they're using. Let's say that some of the data coming in, you need to do real-time analytics of that data. You don't have enough processing power on that ship or the oil rig. I need to take the results so that I could drill differently or I could change the angles. All that kind of stuff becomes a real key part of Fusion. It is a graphically designed tool. You don't have to, get super technical. It's not fully where you drag and drop, but it's very similar. It's a graphical tool. I say, I want to move data from here. I want to move data to here. It lists the information. You connect them with lines, and boom, you have things up and running. And a great feature for this is because this is an open source community, there are lots and lots of people out there building preset defined connections, different types of connections that do different things. So we ourselves as Buurst, we're building these type of features, these type of connections. Again, there's a specific term, but I think we get the basic idea. We can contribute it back to the community so our customers get the advantage of what we build and what the broader community is building.
So it sounds like, is it a, I don't want to say use the word acceleration because that has some different connotations in the market these days. But I'm going to ask in sort of the layperson's term, are you accelerating the speed by which data is being moved, or are you doing something where you're just moving deltas, or what's actually happening under the hood to provide improved basically outcomes, which is the speed by which you can start using data on either side?
So we actually have a patented, I think the patents are approved technology. We call it ultrafast. And as enabled and applied, that allows you to move the data at accelerated rates on our site. We have blogs that show the difference, and it's quite substantial. So what this technology is doing is it's constantly monitoring that channel. I know Marc gives a great example where he talks about, it's a 4-lane highway. You're coming up to traffic and you see that one of the lanes is more open. We'll redivert traffic, that kind of thing. Ultimately, it's a lot where we move from TCP/IP to UDP. It's kind of a foundational basic. So there's not a lot of traffic. When your traffic is going out, if something happens, it doesn't do resets. It's able to reconnect the packages back end through UDP. And there's all sorts of algorithms. I believe the term that we're using is a Gamble algorithm. Again, this is all patent. We just put a white paper out. I would encourage our listeners, if you want to understand and see some of the performance metrics, I will tell you the performance improvement is quite staggering. Simply not doing retransmissions, especially if you're talking high latency networks, satellites or microwaves or anything like that, it makes a significant difference. So we can take you down from hours of time to transmit your data or move it. We can get you down to minutes or sometimes even seconds. It's quite compelling. And that's why we put the white paper up on our site.
So I have to ask a little bit more of a technical question on that front. TCP has serious downsides in terms of performance, absolutely, because of retransmits and having to reestablish a channel after retransmit and all that stuff. But UDP has got some challenges in and of itself. Are you replacing TCP sort of for lack of a better phrase, again, checksumming capabilities with something custom, so you can use UDP as a transport without having to worry about losing packets, because there's no acknowledgement with UDP that something was received. How do you make sure that the data integrity is maintained with the solution rather than using TCP? And again, I'm not trying, it's not a gotcha question. I'm just really curious.
That's okay. No, it makes sense. So this is getting a little too much for me, Mark. I don't know if you have that exact answer.
Yeah, no, I
don't
think
want to say it wrong.
No, what you say, Scott, is absolutely 100% correct. So this Gambler algorithm we use a combination of artificial intelligence and learning, machine learning techniques to actually understand. So if I'm hitting a brick wall here, maybe I need to wait or throttle down. So it kind of knows when to throttle up or throttle down based on these check techniques. And again, what's great is it rides on top of those standard protocols. And again, using this algorithm technology that's patented, kind of our secret sauce, to determine that. We only send the delta sync. So again, it's just on the retransmissions that Steve talked about. If you're trying to submit something over satellite and it cuts off after 5 terabytes of the 10 terabytes, and you're like, oh my God, I just spent 10 hours doing this, and then whoop, I'm back at 0, right? So that job could take days, whereas with the delta syncs, we'll do it under 24 hours, whatever it happens to be. So again, of course, it depends on the size of the data, and of course what the pipe is. But like I said earlier, or Steve said earlier, looking at that 4-way lane, that 4-lane highway example, when you get stuck in traffic and you go talk to Siri or Alexa or whoever it happens to be, and you want to redirect, they'll say, hey, you can save 5 minutes by going this direction. That's kind of how ultra-fast operates. We're always looking for the fastest route through the pipe that's available.
Got it.
And Scott, I would encourage your listeners, if you are watching this and you do want that extra technology, again, we are not engineers. That is in the white paper. That's why we released it.
Well, even better, there's even a little video where we actually have the ultra fast called out on our Fusion landing page on our website. So you can actually watch it. I can't remember if it's 5-10 minutes. It's not long at all. But you can
it's only
see
5 minutes. Yeah.
We've got the speed test going, and the developers actually going through it in explicit detail how ultra fast is working. The test that we use in that example on the website is actually on a pretty robust backbone. It's actually on the AWS backbone. They're showing a transfer from Ohio region to South Africa region using the standard TCP/IP backbone on AWS. They do it, I think it's a 10 gig or 1 gig. It's a 1 gig or 10 gig transfer. It takes a little like 50 seconds, 50, and then they turn ultra fast on, and the same transfer takes 15 seconds. So that's even on an existing backbone. I think we're not WAN acceleration or anything like that, but it's interesting to see how ultra fast can even operate in a robust backbone environment.
Very good. Gentlemen, thank you for this overview of the company. I will actually take a look at that white paper in more depth as well, to understand that the bits and the bytes a little bit, as it were.
And we're happy, and Scott, we're happy to bring on, if you'd like, the engineers, and you could spend 20 minutes in deep technical discussion. Happy to do that.
Yeah, I would love to do that.
I know that your audience, there probably are many members of your audience who like it. We can make that happen.
Definitely. I'd love to learn how the technology works a bit. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you to our audience for watching this Spotlight Series video. If you'd like to learn more about Buurst, where can people go?
So go to buurst.com, again, 2 U's. So it's BUURST.com. And we have all the information on SoftNAS as well as Fusion available, your customer case studies, the whole kind of thing. And if you're interested in chatting with us, if you send an email to info@buurst.com or sales@buurst.com, we have plenty of people that are happy to talk to you, go through the technology, explain it. And, again, one of the key things for our company in general, one of our slogans is, data is DNA of your business. And, our job is to make sure you get as much value as you can from that data in your company.
That sounds good. Again, thank you so much.